So, welcome everybody. I am so pleased to have Dana and Baruch with us this morning to talk about TAE and living. And that's just such a wonderful, perfect topic, as it sort of brings everything together. And it helps us to make this deep, rich philosophy our guidelines for daily living and bringing that depth into our lives, not just into our thinking. And so welcome, and welcome, Dana and Baruch. I was asking them if they saw the videos that we have up of a dialogue I have with them, and then I think two other Help the Helpers. So also for you, make sure that you see these videos, and this one will be up too by next week. And we can put it all together from these videos. Okay, so welcome. What else should I say to introduce you? I mean, you are really, the two of you are really on this wonderful edge that seems like the edge whose time has come in focusing and in living. And you're making very complex ideas that haven't fully been articulated yet, and you're articulating them and you're making them accessible to us. Thank you. Okay, so we'll begin.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, thank you so much, Lynn, and that you invited us, and to everyone that now came to this meeting. And like you said, and it's very precious definition to describe what exactly we are doing, is that we are walking on the edge. We want to walk on the edge. And even now, we want to introduce to you what we call thinking at the edge and the art of living. In a way, is a combination of few things. First of all, is a certain an understanding of what is TAE. If I will say in a general way, Janin with his sensitivity, with his way to sense life, was motivated to help every human being to open, to develop his uniqueness. And this is the reason why he developed with a group of people the 14 steps of this practice that we call thinking at the edge, TAE. And when we met this practice and we started to go inside, the main thing is that Janin saw that every human being he has a unique way. They have a unique way to, in their professional life, to do whatever they are doing. If you're a therapist, you have your unique way that you develop through your experience. And it's a very precious uniqueness that he wanted that, first of all, that the person will explicate it. He saw the importance, that is very important, that the person himself will know this uniqueness. And second, because through this process, he can share with others, with the world, something from his uniqueness. And when we contemplate about this process, we thought that every human being has another kind of uniqueness that he was that based on many, many years of experience. This is the way, the unique way that he senses life by themselves, not his professional life. As you live your life, usually we interpret it that we live like other people live their life. But each of us has his experiences, as is in a way, there is a kind of expertise, if I will say, that each of us has about his or her life. And we thought how we can explicate, to make application of this uniqueness, that we name it soul print. Like you have a fingerprint, you have a soul print. You have a kind of uniqueness. And this process, it's not in all, someone can explicate it. Not in all, first of all, it can give any kind of meaning. It can sense, even to sense back the journey of his life. But it's not only this. When you explicate it, I can say you touch something. It's a kind of creation, that this is the way that in the level of your, I can say, level of the eternity, you live your life. The level, because all of us, we was born once, we will leave this world in a certain day, but all our life, it's a kind of piece of art. It's a kind of creation. And when you explicate your soul print, it has a value by itself. I don't even want to say what it can bring to each person's life. You will see it through the process. What it means, soul print, we'll say more later. And the last thing that I want to say before we start, the TAE and the art of living, in a way, it's a combination. It's based on few things. It's based on the focusing process. It's based on the TAE, the thinking on the edge, practice that Jenny developed with a group of people. It's based on the philosophy of Jenny, how he understood what it means to be human, and it's based on ancient wisdom. Ancient wisdom, I can say, it came from Judaism, but maybe for sure other ancient traditions spoke about it in different ways, that they point us or conduct us to touch something in our journey, in our life. So in a way, here in the art of living, it's a kind of combination that today we will not make the process, but we want to introduce you to this practice and to touch it. Okay, this is the only thing that we can do in a short time.
Thank you. So as Baruch said, we won't be going into the TAE steps and how they can help us move forward, yet we want to start to touch the intricacy of this word that we named soul print. So first of all, we'll make a short tuning in. Into each we start to taste it. So you can lay back, take a deep breath. We always like to start with what we call questions on the edge, just asking and slowly sensing what comes into us. But I'll take a moment to be quiet, and you can slowly sense your whole presence right now. Maybe already what we spoke has a resonance inside. And into what you already feel, I want to invite you to sense when you hear this phrase. Maybe some of you, yes, we just heard it for the first time, soul print. See if you can sense, what does it mean to you, the term itself? What do I mean? I do not invite you now to sense what is your soul print. This we will do later. But just this combination, soul print, what does this combination elicit inside? What is the sense of this term, a soul print? What kind of feeling and if the wording itself in a way doesn't land inside, you can say, uniqueness of my soul, or find your own words to name this phenomena of the uniqueness of who you are. But we try to make it into a new term, and we call it soul print. Maybe an image comes, maybe various voices inside. Maybe I sense that I mean what it means, but I have my own way of saying it. And we can sense, are we curious to take some time with it? Maybe we have, if some of you know the TAE steps, an implicit understanding how the crossing can happen. We're just sensing the area, the zone. We're allowing what comes. We just and slowly we can come back. If you sense something that you want to write, you can take a moment to write it down. And maybe some of you want to share the initial taste or initial understanding that came to you. You can also write in the chat if you prefer. Just writing one sentence or two.
My first, the first came to me was soul, S-O-U-L, which I had immediate kind of rejection of in terms of coming from a Buddhist point of view of something that continues as, you know, sort of got into a philosophical fight with that. And then I went down to my feet and said, no, it's the sole of my feet. And the sense of fingerprints and uniqueness, and that the swirls on my feet were also unique. And the feeling of sort of my energy going down into my feet and it being something like being grounded.
Yes. Yes, wonderful. And this is one of the things that's why we opened it, because we want to explore our own unique ways of phrasing it and open it. And that's why we started by this, like really inviting whatever comes. But maybe so we can hear more of you, maybe we can just write in the chat one sentence so we have more voices to relate to. Because so just write whatever you experienced. Okay. Okay, good. So I see from what you're writing, so an aspect, as different aspects or starting to evolve. You could spend a lot of time with what we've written and just open it. Yet what we would like to do now is, in a way, as Jen said, that words don't have fixed meanings, and the meaning of the words is changing, depend on how we use it. And he invested a lot of energy in writings and to say what he means by the word body, which is not a public meaning. We'll try now a little bit to put a little a color, if I can say it in English, on what do we mean when we say soul print, just to give it a little bit the way we hold it between us. And then you can maybe write down what you hear and later give us back or ask about it. Okay?
Okay, so we will say a few pointers or a few ways that we work with. And like Dana said, this is not that this is the only way to interpret what it means, soul print. Okay? I want to, so I will say a few things. First of all, in a way, I think in a certain time, people sense our life in a way it's a kind of mystery. It's a kind of riddle. It's a riddle. It's not something that we can say in the depth. It's not something that we can, it's defined thing. And there is a way that during my life, in the beginning, sometimes we can sense it, even we are not aware that we sense life in a unique way, like Jenny says, because it is you. It's not something even that we are aware of. Sometimes we can become aware of it and then to develop it. And sometimes it's not only that you develop it, but you create from it a way that you understand, or it's like an inner understanding, what it means to live, to be. what it means to be. You create from your experience, from your depth. You create an inner understanding, a kind of understanding, or maybe you carry forward an inner knowing in first body person, what it means to live my life between the time that I born and between the end. Is how I understand my life, not only my professional life, not only what I succeed to do in my life, what exactly I know to do in a good way, is to an inner understanding or inner knowing that I can explicate. It's like the inner conversation that we have many times with ourselves, how we understand what it means to be. What it means to be. Is a unique way. It's not about talent. It's not about the thing that I like to do. Is in a layer that I sense my life with the background of the eternity. There, I create what we call a soul. This is the way that we want now to use the word soul, because the word soul has many interpretations. It depends, there is a different kind of interpretation in different traditions. But this is the way that I develop, I elaborate, I create something that it exists in me, something unique, but I develop it, and through it I understand something from the depth of my life, in the layer of the mysterious that before I will die, I will sense it. This is what we call a soul print. Uniqueness in this way is not in front of society. I'm unique. For example, I'm an actor, there is my uniqueness, I'm a unique actor, or I live in a certain society, I do it my own way. The uniqueness is between you and the infinite. The soul print is the way that you understand / create all your life a certain kind of understanding of what I'm doing. What I'm doing, what it means my life. I don't create my uniqueness with public language. I even don't create my uniqueness through holy traditions and ancient traditions. I can create my uniqueness, my soul print, only between me and the depth of life. This is the place that we want to create unique. We look for explicating uniqueness. There is a certain time in my life that I understand that there is I can do it. It's not I must do it. Like to sense my life as a piece of art. And what is not what I succeed to do, but it's between me and the unknown. It's between me and the unknown. If you explicate your soul print, something becomes more clear inside you. Something can become more clear in the interaction that you have with other people, because you know what you are looking for in life. You know, not the content, but you know which kind of sensitivity you look for in every conversation, in every meeting. Now I'm talking to you. The question is my soul print, my soul, it's a metaphor, soul print, because it's not printed. And soul is not something. It's a kind of metaphor. But the question is the way that I really understand life in front of the eternity, in the mystery of life, if it now function when I'm talking to you, or only I share with you knowledge or kind of interesting practice. So it's influence after the way that you interact with other people, and it's even influenced your professional life. From the time that you are dealing with it, it's influenced your professional life. Another thing that is very important to understand, soul print will never have a definite something that you can really understand. It will continue to be a mystery, but you have any touch with it. You explicate something, you have a taste, you have a direction, you continue to elaborate. Till we will leave this world, we continue to elaborate it. It's a very subtle thing because it's based on something that you can, this is why we use TAE, because the TAE process can support this creation or this elaboration of your inner knowing. Because on one way, all your life, this uniqueness was there on one hand. On the other hand, you have to explicate it, you have to understand it, you have to elaborate it, you have to create for it a unique language, not to speak about it in what Jenny called public language. There is a wisdom inside it, and you have to elaborate it and to explicate it. And the last thing that I want to say, I think in our time, usually people don't speak about this realm of soul, or they speak about it in already with a certain kind of definition what it means soul. But we want to point to a unique kind of process that I think most of the time people don't speak about it. We speak about talent, we speak about achievement. Usually we speak about to succeed, to do things that we want. But to what it means, this subtle thing that is the way that we sense and perceive in a unique way our life. This is the area that through the TAE and the art of living, we want to explore, explicate, and to see after how it can nourish our life. Okay, I will stop here.
And maybe we will take a few moments that you can give back something that you heard, something that had a resonance inside, something that you understood. It's like not, it can be even just a phrase or a sentence. Even if you didn't understand what it means, but you feel your curiosity there.
The statement that I really, really loved, the 2 sentences, was uniqueness is not in front of society. Uniqueness is between you and the infinite. That really touched me. Thank you.
Between me and the unknown.
Someone else? My life is a piece of art. Yes, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Something lights up and glows. I thought of how when Jane spoke to someone, and you see it in the demos, after a very few minutes, it's as if he touches that soul print. That's what he's going for. And you see the person just light up from inside.
Yeah. If I will say, like you for this, Lynn, this is example how I sent Lynn. His soul print was like to open this place in every human being. This is the way that he senses what the depth of life. It's not it's not something about professional. It's not something about talent. All are serve something else. Through it, it dedicates something of his life. So I can say from outside, maybe this is part of his soul print, if we use it as a metaphor. Yeah. Please, if you can say more phrases, expressions, even one word, only to give back, only to make it resonant. Don't hesitate.
What kind of sensitivity you're looking for in every conversation, every meeting, every encounter?
Yes, what even you want to bring forward in every situation, in every meeting.
And sometimes I want to add, we feel weird, as if we're the only one who listens to that and all the rest are normal. And it's like, why do we are so interested in something that is peripheral to the content? Okay, so.
The whole thing will always be a mystery.
Sometimes it takes another person seeking that soul print in me for me to be in touch with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why the process of this, if the listener or who is know how to listen, know how to be there for me.
What came to me is legacy. What do I leave behind?
If I will make a paraphrase about the sentence of Gandhi, is not only what you leave beyond, what really you have, because you have to do it, what you are live in the time that you are already in your time. Every every meeting, every conversation. Okay, okay. So in a way, this is the process that we are going through in the TAE and the art of living, where we cannot do it now in a short time. You can come. We will be happy if you will join us to the journey of it. But now we want to only like to start something. Okay.
So I will ask several initial questions. Okay, just triggering this exploration. So again, you can, for a moment, sit back, take a deep breath. And when I ask question, you are invited to write down, even not to leave it just hanging, but to have it written. And we are already in the field, okay? So now I want to take it to myself. I mean, everyone take it to themselves. And the questions, we say that it's a question on the edge because they're big questions. So we just starting to map it. We just starting to put points. We don't need to have a full comprehension now. But if we look at our lives, as you say, my life is a piece of art. Okay, my life is a piece of art. What can I say about this particular creation? And if I look at my life as a piece of art or as a process of art, what can I say about it? It really invites us to broaden our perspective. And when things comes to us, we can pay attention that we don't just write things that I did, but already things also what relates to who I am. As we said, my unique sensitivities. And you're writing only to yourself. So you can allow yourself to write things that may be beyond the usual way we speak. Maybe allow yourself to be surprised. We look at our life really as a creation. The creation. In this point of our lives, when we look back, it's creation, and there's an aspect of my life as an art, not just to what I did, but through who I was or who I am. And I know in the beginning it's very broad, so we're just starting to put things on the paper. And as you see, we're really trying to open it beyond particular talent or beyond particular occupation. Could be very felt sensing, okay, just something that we don't yet fully understand. And I will ask it in a different way. Maybe each time it will be helpful for someone else. When I reflect on my life, what is unique about the way I interact with life? It's my unique way of interacting with life. It can be really just felt in the beginning. Just have a sense of it. If you feel an edge that you don't know how to write it, stay with it until words will come. I will ask another question. For those of you that the way soul, as we explained it, did resonance inside, in what way my soul listens to life, listens to creation, listens to nature. So we have this unique kind of listening. And it doesn't matter which interaction, where we go, it's how we interact. And maybe instances come, maybe new words come, just write it down. Okay, to be with an felt something that we don't know exactly how to write yet, but we do feel it. So slowly, we'll come to a finishing place. And we can look at what we've written so far and sense what happens, what else comes, or how do you feel with everything you've written so far. And I'll just say to the one who is dividing the partners to the breakout rooms that in a few moments we will go into breakout. So we will now go into breakout rooms, pairs, for 20 minutes. And we really invite you to either to sense, to focus, or to be with whatever came to you, the whole thing, or maybe there was one point that surprised you and you want to open it to the more, to really take time to feel sense into it. And the invitation is, we can, there's a lot, so we can just speak about our list, but we want also not just not to speak about what we've written, but really to sense what wants more to be open and spend time with that. Okay? Okay. So we can go now to 20 minutes.
Okay. And Dana and Baruch, did you want to be in rooms as well?
Yes, I will be with Baruch. We will be together. So until you're going into the rooms, you can continue to see, to be with what you've written, to see if something else, to be in contact with it. So you want just to see if something else comes.
We'll come back at 9:30.
Okay. Maybe mark down one sentence. You're mute. You're still mute, Lynn. If you want to speak.
I was just saying hello to people, but knowing when you're muted is a very spiritual process. Welcome back, everybody. We're eager to hear what you experienced in your breakout rooms.
And also, if you have questions that you want to ask.
Right.
I would just like to say thank you to our guest for being here, and thank you for what you did in giving us a way to imagine that very first step. To imagine what might I have to say, what from something I know or I am, and that first question has always made me stop right away in learning more about TAE, because I struggle with that. And this presentation today helped me a lot to begin to find some words for that, that stoppage.
Love to know also if you are following BJ, if you are doing more of this around TAE. You have some online stuff.
You know, it was coincidence that we start this Sunday another course for seven meetings of TAE in the art of. I will put it in the chat. I mean, if we thought to do it in the end, but because you're asking about it, it just happened in a good timing.
Yes, and thank you, I really appreciate that. What came to me is the old body of work that I started, or at least to write about it when I was 23, when I was presenting my thesis in France. And I have to go back to it because that word, the space in between, is what came back. And I was focusing on the space in between, and a man who I was working at my internship who suffered from autism, and me as a psychologist trainee. And I was studying, trying to dip a little bit in the space in between. And I think that's part of my soul print, looking into that, being with that. So I really want to go back to this. And I carried it with me to the States. Salt and pepper, it's a little thing. I mean, so yeah. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
It's like a lot of time, as you said, things from the past, even long time ago, start to make sense in this way, to connect.
Well, with that in mind, and when I reflected back to when I told Katerina in our group, when I was 5 years old, sitting at the base of the stairs and looking out the stained glass window above the door in our home. And I was like, what is this all about? What does this all mean? And I was only 5. And I still feel that part of me within myself. So it's really powerful. And I'm just so grateful for the language that you brought to this, because it's not like typical, right? It's very unusual language.
Right. I'm wondering if other people had images or thoughts about times in their childhood. I didn't at that time, but when you said that, several images came to my mind.
In answer to your question, Lynn, I didn't have specific memories, but I did have this sense of when I'm carried away with the shoulds and the imposed shoulds that I've had in my life a lot, I am going away from the real living, from the living in the flow, the living in the what is really important, and and finding what my soul print is. And so I believe these things, these talks, these conversations are so important, because I myself need to be reminded. I need to be reminded of what things are important to me, because everybody has their own uniqueness to me. But I know that I can get carried away with the impositions, with conditioning, with shoots, with whatever, and that is so different, because if I am focused on the wonder, the uniqueness, the responsibility of leaving my soul print or whatever. It's like so different. I can be in a different mind body set, like allowing for whatever is coming to flow, and knowing and not fighting with whatever it is. But so I feel this. So thank you very much for what you brought here today.
I think one of the questions I have is what came up for me was more of a meeting in the middle, maybe taking off on what Sophie was saying. When I think of my soul print, it's hard for me to think of it without thinking how I meet with the other and how I interact with the other. And then I start thinking, I want my soul print to be visible to them. And how does it get covered? And how do I hold back? So it's always an interactional process for me. I mean, not always, but often.
Yeah.
I just say that we just hear what you're saying, and there's a lot to it. And also, it's one of your sensitivities to look at the world in that particular way. This question may rise in you and not in someone else. We usually think that everyone would think that way, but it's our unique way of interacting that give rise to certain kinds of questions.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I was thinking after what you said, Dorothy, and what I heard before about being, for me, in a non-judgmental place, but also beyond my old, it's when I could step out of an old fixed way of thinking is the only way I can describe it. That it's because I know I can get into a stuck place from maybe past feelings or whatever it is, or a way of just sort of being on automatic pilot in my life, as opposed to, let me step back and what can I do differently? How can I step out of that old script or whatever you want to call it? And that, I think, comes from a soul place.
I think that the steps that TAE has doesn't let us to stay in our habitual way of thinking. It's like it demands from us that we'll be creative, and I feel that we use the steps in the course not as it's traditionally 1, 2, 3, 4. We use it organically, and we add to it also some our own steps that we feel are helpful. Maybe I can show it quickly. Can you make me allow me, Lynn or Christine, to share screen, or whoever? Dorothy, can so I can share screen?
Christine, can you? Christine is the host. Yeah. We have, we're out of time, but I think those who can stay to see.
Yes. I will just show it very quickly because I don't know those of you who knows TAE, and let's see if I can do it. Okay, so just do it. Do it quickly. That the way we work with it, we taking the steps and we like doing it in the movement. There's felt sensing and there's cruxing and there's instancing. There's different kinds of movement that TAE opens. Opening words, paradoxing, patterning, crossing. It's different kinds of movements. And we made them not like with a process. And these processes helps us to carry forward what we initially now every one of you sense this thought print and really to make it a bit more intricate and more and related to many instances of our lives and beyond the regular way of speaking and understanding.
That's beautiful. Very exciting. Thank you so much, Dana and Baruch. And we'll listen to Dorothy's poem as a way of ending.
The poet today is Padraig Ó Tuama. He's an Irish poet and theologian and conflict mediator. And it just hit me as like his art of living and the way he dealt with conflict. It's called Jacob and Esau. One day I repented my resentment because I'd realized I'd forgotten to repeat it. For a while, no, for a long while, it was like a prayer rising to the skies, morning after morning, like a siren that wouldn't quiet. And then I remembered other things, the way I walk lighter these days, the way you never knew my story of divorce, the way I am tired of being forced among the new, and the way I miss having someone to speak to about things. I don't need to explain the way we shared a name. So I decided, I took a flight and hung around the areas where we used to meet. I loitered with intent. I was hungry with hope, but couldn't eat alone. I missed the home of your body. I missed the home your body was, even though we're grown now. I missed your smell, your wrestle, your snoring breath. And when I saw you change too. So much behind us we didn't need to name.
Thank you, Dora. Okay, we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for everyone. It was wonderful to meet you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.